Welcome back, Noble Heroes. Thank you for joining us once again. We find the characters in the kingdom of Dramul, the Elven Kingdom. They are with their host, Quindon, and are currently going to sleep in his manor house. Euphemia, you find yourself in a very soft bed. You wanted to say something?
Oh, she was just going to say that she would have been talking to Hiro about, she would have asked two things. One, did she feel anything odd from the guy who's the lord of the manor?
He would say no.
And two, she would have wanted to talk tactics with him about how they could use their 1-2 of her stealing weight and him just chucking shit everywhere.
Okay, yeah, he clearly really enjoyed that moment. He thought that it was really fun, and he kind of seems to suggest that he got to, pretend he was Hiro for a minute. You guys create a thing to say and, a symbol to give him if you want him to do it again.
Okay.
And he will share that he has been thinking about... I wanted to talk to you about Bali, actually.
Bali? She
Yeah.
sounds really surprised.
So, you remember when she helped Roland steer the ship?
Yeah. Sure.
So, I could feel both of their emotions at the time. They're actually way more similar than you think, he says. They both think that they're not worthy of their station. I think they could be friends, he says, if they were given the right opportunity.
You want me to put them in a room together and get them drunk?
Solution to everything?
Well, sort of. I mean, if you think that would work. But I don't know. Maybe if I am here for a purpose, maybe I'm here to connect people who wouldn't normally be connected.
If Bali really feels that way, I'd like her to have someone she could talk to about it. She
Both
won't
of them
talk to
feel
me.
like there's a looming shadow over them. I think Roland's is Harper, he says. I don't know who Bali's is, but it stands as tall.
She's going to need to say, it is not me.
No, I gain the sense that it's somebody in her family.
It's Talona, she says.
Who?
Talona. You know, the bandana I wear? It's hers.
That's somebody's bandana that's not yours?
Well, it's mine now.
Oh. Are they dead?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
She's died from old age.
That doesn't make me less sorry.
Okay, out of game. Was it her great? How many greats back was it?
It's her great-grandmother.
Okay. It was her great-grandmother. She was a spectacular pirate. Stories are still told about her today.
Oh, I've never heard about her.
Well,
That's probably my fault.
you
Hero
are.
looks a little chagrined.
You are also not a pirate.
Can I tell you a secret?
I love secrets.
Oh, well, I'm not sure about sharing it with you.
She laughs.
I was talking with Roland when we first got on the boat.
Mm.
He was telling me about when he was really young. He helped my father a lot. He was bullied at school, but Roland was there to help him. He kind of beat up the bullies, I guess. I asked him how old he was at the time. He was saying that he was a little kid, a child. He said he was 8. That's how old I am now. I think Roland thinks I'm a little kid.
I think Roland has so much power it is sometimes hard for him to not think of other people as being more fragile.
I don't think that's true.
Well?
In fact, I think Roland might feel that way about himself.
He sees himself as fragile?
Not fragile, but not responsible for lifting the heavy things.
He thinks the other does it.
Or at least not him.
I don't know how you deal with all this emotional stuff all the time, she says.
That's why I run down into the hold. Says. Honestly, having Podjack didn't add anything to the...
She laughs really heartily at that.
I'll tell you the one who goes through the most emotions, though. It's Prongor.
She hits the table. Are you serious?
He goes, yeah, I mean, he'll go from calm and collected to scared, and then he's clearly thinking about something threatening. But all he's doing is looking at Juniper.
I love it so much. Yes.
Well, to be fair, Juniper can be very intimidating.
He seems to feel outnumbered all the time, although I'm not sure for what. And I get the sense that he's missing something he left behind.
Really? He seems like his master is his whole world.
He is. But it was when he was talking to Janya. He felt sad. So did Johnny, in fact.
I thought as much. You know, never thought of myself as much of a leader. And the longer I'm in this position, the more I realize so much of what I'm really supposed to do is to help everybody manage their shit.
Well, you do a pretty good job.
I could use your help with it. I'm not the best with emotions. Not really.
Well, here's kind of the problem. I've lived in Yen-Therin my whole life, and Meeks just tell people what's wrong with them.
Oh,
I mean,
really?
most of the time. There's sort of this unwritten rule that we know not to be as open with other people because they don't do that. But if you can feel it, why not just say it?
You don't turn away from being uncomfortable or in pain, you mean?
I mean, we're not turning away from anything. We still feel it, even if we don't speak it. So there's really no secrets among Meek. But, well, it's clearly very different on a pirate crew.
It is.
I mean, half the time the crew's scared to death, and the other half they're feeling great. Especially when you bring out the liquor.
It's part of the point of why it's there. It lets us let our guard down and actually, sometimes, bond over things.
You know, that almost sounded wise.
Oh, God. I hope I never sound too wise. Well, I certainly have plenty of things to pick your mind about then. I think I might have a project for you, too, she says. Well, two things, really. One, I'm trying to get Klebe to get past his fear of Shadow. He can't keep it if she's going to stay on the journey. I suppose I could sometimes use your sensitivity when they interact. Or if you have any thought on how to get him through this.
Hero looks like... At first, he looks like that might be too heavy. And then you see him kind of mull it over for a moment, and I can try.
That's all any of us can do. She raises her glass. And for the other one, well, I'll ask that one later. She has like a little secretive grin and knocks back the rest of her drink.
You all sleep. Do you take an extended rest?
I think Isaac does without asking anybody.
Well, then I guess we
Then
do.
you all do.
Yep.
All right. Getting rid of that level of exhaustion is pretty important.
Thank goodness.
All right. I'm going to roll it. Hopefully we don't get to 5 points.
Oh, also, Roland would have slept in the stable with Shadow and the cats.
Yeah, you're not gonna be able to find June till this morning
Okay.
when she comes back.
Oh, okay. Isaac, you and Prongor were able to bring along the Oaken Bolter and have continued your work on the fins during this time period.
Oh.
And
Good.
I'm rolling for chaos now. You succeed. You do not gain a chaos.
Yay! Oh, while I'm in Garen, I pick up some language learning implements from the school.
Okay.
Are you trying to learn Shadow's language? Is that what this quest is about?
Not entirely. She's also planning to use it to help her learn how to speak. But that's more than just needing to learn to speak. It's also, tongue and vocal cords and all that
Larynx.
jazz.
All right. You guys gain another long rest. You lose your level of exhaustion. Gain back all your spell slots. And those of you who do not have full fate points can roll.
What?
Those of you who don't have full fate points.
Can we get back our hit dice?
You gain back half your hit dice total. So in your case, you gain back 4 hit dice.
Okay. Yes, I get all my back.
All right. And you guys receive a large, well-made raft of elven construction. And the raft has been modified to hold the boulder of the crown in a significantly easy manner. It is loaded by elven workmen onto the small streamlet that you're going to be swimming back down on the next morning. You guys aren't rushed out, but you are able to excuse yourselves quickly if you need to. Does anybody wish to stay any longer than that point?
I'm not with them at the moment.
Juniper is absent, but is there a note left?
She said I'll meet you at the docks. At blah 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 time.
Okay. And you guys have your boats. You are also gifted extra days of rations. You are gifted probably a week's worth of food for the crew. In addition.
For the
by
whole crew?
Kingdom. Yes.
Okay.
It is bags and barrels. You are laden down with supplies by the kingdom that want to show you goodwill. What were you going to say?
I want to touch the rock.
I want to touch the rock.
Partially to see if, in a dire situation, I could animate it to roll itself. And also to see what happens when I touch the rock.
This is what happens
As
when
you
you leave
touch
us
the
alone.
rock, you go up and look down upon its surface. It is a gemstone that has been... Some side of it is carefully cut near the top and bottom, but the edges have been broken, shattered. And as you lay your hand upon it, you are going to gain a vague sense, sort of a whisper of a memory. You hear Zio's words whispered in your mind, and you see him sitting in a dimly lit room as he reaches across and shakes an unseen person's hand. He smiles cuttingly and says, "It's just business."
Okay. Is that all I see?
Yes.
All right.
That thought will niggle in your mind for an entire half day, regardless of your attempts to get it out.
I figured.
June, you arrive timely.
June arrives. She looks tired. It looks like she probably didn't sleep terribly well last night. She looks like she got the very bare minimum of rest necessary. She spent the night dealing with issues with the stuff going on at Bridgewalk. She went back to the wheelhouse to work with that.
Okay, got it.
Since she was able to. And because she's a horrible workaholic.
Don't feel bad. This is your truth.
Stand in your truth.
Roland, I will state something that you begin to notice. You've definitely noticed that the other has returned to not the forefront of your mind, but it's not the other you encountered on the Frithgyle fight. It is the normal other.
Normal other.
You see him rigidly training in the mind space that it usually stays within. It is ignoring you at the moment. Have you mentioned the strangeness of the fight? Frithgyle fight to it?
No.
No. Right. Then it doesn't seem to interact with you.
On a normal basis, can you talk with it just like in your head if you want to?
Yes.
Yeah, but it used to be like a nightly thing.
Right.
And then now it's we've kind of relegated to we have our spaces and we don't bother each other when we're doing our things.
As you guys get underway, Master, in the middle of the boat, Prongor is going to turn from his rowing one of the boats by himself to begin to regale Isaac. I told you that I would tell you the story of the 7 Kings of Garen, but I haven't done so yet, so let us take this journey for me to inform you of the famous tale.
Well, I guess I've got nothing else to do.
So, he will tell you information that will allow you to know the sort of a vague, popular, mythicized history of the 7 Kings of Garen. The stories are individually not super long, but all 7 of them together are like 3 hours. And he will... Roland, you can't help but hear and smile a little bit at the popularization of these like larger-than-life stories that the kings have adopted, despite the fact that most of them were just savvy politicians
just
who took
guys.
advantage of opportunities.
Just dudes.
There are probably some amused glances passing between us.
Mm-hmm.
She sees you looking and she looks and she just kind of goes,
Your journey back to the Outrunner is significantly easier than your journey to the Elven Kingdom.
huzzah!
Whatever that alligator is still along the waterways, he knows better than to mess with these ships. And the migration of the bat piranhas appears to be waning, as you only see a handful of the creatures, and certainly not enough to attack a person.
Out of game, or do you have a bag of holding?
Sort of, yes.
Okay, has she seen you pull stuff out of it before?
Yes.
You know?
It's your beetle, right?
So she probably would ask you if there was any other way that you could think of to store this thing or carry this thing.
The boulder is actually too large to fit in the extra-dimensional space.
I'm aware. I was getting ready to say that.
Gotcha.
She goes, unfortunately, it's a bit too big to do that.
I was worried that might be the case. Oh well. We'll just deal with that.
So we
Plus,
take...
I'm not entirely sure it would be safe to put it in. It would require some testing, which is probably better not to do on your ship.
I appreciate that.
Do you know what we're going to do with it?
Well, I suggest we keep it stored for the time being, and we return it to Yen-Jassi as soon as possible.
So we're storing on the boat?
Well, we kind of have to.
We do.
That makes leaving the boat very, very sketchy.
We'll have to always have people guarding it, won't we? And I'm not leaving only my crew to guard that thing. I know what could come for it.
It's possible we might find answers at Mirvin's tower. However, impossible that person is...
You met him before?
Not that he'd recognize me here.
You have enough of a history to hold this level of disdain, though.
She just looks at you and blinks. She goes, "We've interacted. He does not know me as Juniper, though."
He sounds like he's going to be great.
Oh, he's loads of fun, that one. He's probably the most cantankerous, impossible, caustic individual you'll ever meet.
Those are some powerful words.
It's a good thing we're all pretty difficult people, too.
Hey.
Excluding you.
Alright.
Speak for yourself. I'm practically an angel.
I'm speaking for both of us.
She blinks at you.
And that one.
Clearly joking.
Juniper, you're going to notice during the boat ride that Shadow seems to have made it her personal mission to sneak up on you. You think that your previous ability to see her coming out of the Shadow Realm has made you quite the great hunt and challenge. So she makes it her point to try to slither up on side of the boat and surprise you with a tiny drip of water on the head.
Every time she does it, she gets bopped on the nose. And sparkles happen.
Give me a perception check for Shadow's stealth.
Can I put an arcane mark on her without her
man.
noticing?
What? Can you put a glowing arcane mark on Shadow without her noticing? No.
On the back of her head.
Give me an Arcana versus stealth check.
Is that so you can always keep track of her?
It's a spell.
20.
All right. So, she will, for the first, 10 tries, have the mark on her. And then she begins to get, annoyed, and she will figure out that the mark is on the back of her own head.
June is so proud of her.
And she sticks her tongue out at Juniper for being a meanie.
June winks at her. June is being quite playful with her.
He likes it.
And you'll notice she's been trying to talk with her often, and she listens to her responses and how she's making the sounds. So it's pretty obvious June is attempting to figure out her vocalizations.
Her speaks.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
How long have we been on this journey so far? The whole
Like a day and a
journey.
half. Oh, the whole journey?
Yeah.
The first 12 days was to the Crystal Forest, and then it has been 6 days since.
How am I doing, by the way?
On what?
Language.
You have some ideas.
Okay.
It is formulating in your brain.
She is percolating.
You guys find your way back down the streamlet.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Are we relatively close on the boats? Are the boats pretty close together?
Mm-hmm.
So we're able to talk? She's going to lean over. She's on the side where you are. And she goes, Isaac, I have a question. I noticed before, when you summoned your guardian spirits, do you know someone named Cassian?
Cassian.
You guys remember when the beginning of the fight started, there was an angelic burst of light from Isaac as a swirl of his spell coursed around him, raking off scales from the Frog King. And amidst that light, there was a sort of a strong, noble-faced angelic figure.
Juniper, how do you know Cassian?
I know a lot of people.
I mean, I guess I can't say I'm surprised. You seem like you've been through every square inch of the continent and then some, but to know an angel.
She smiles. He's technically still an angel. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. She goes,
Well, rather, was he an angel when you knew him?
yes, he was.
Oh, well, it was before I met him then.
Or after.
I guess after. He's assuming before. Really. How long-lived you are. But I digress. Back to the point. How do you know Cassian?
He was a research assistant to an acquaintance of mine.
I see. He did always have his nose in a book. Even when threatened with the life of a mortal, he couldn't stop reading. He could not stop reading.
She chuckles slightly. That sounds about right. Did he ever get a little less clumsy?
You're going to see Prongor kind of like, sort of hustle a little bit. He seems like, but he doesn't say it.
Are you asking that about Cassian?
Yes.
Oh. Was he clumsy when I knew him?
He wasn't, I mean, you're not sure you have a comparison.
Yeah.
He didn't seem particularly clumsy, but in comparison to an angel, maybe he was.
I can't say he seemed clumsy in the slightest when I knew him.
Yeah, good for him.
At least by my standards.
When did you last see him? It's been ages. Pauses and she goes, I'd say at least 90 years?
Do you know what he went through? Just a few years ago.
Sure.
Yeah.
She
Yeah,
does.
you totally do. Does Sarah?
I think so?
He fell.
Yes, I knew that.
And then he ascended.
Yes, okay, yes. Then I knew this. She goes, yes, of course.
That's when I met him. He rather rudely accosted me during my travels, seeing me as a doer of evil. And I managed to talk him down and befriend him. Against the odds.
Yes, the fallen ones can be a little overzealous, can't they?
Overzealous is understating it. But it was quite entertaining seeing him learn how to be normal, as I'll put it.
Hero seems enraptured by your conversation. Clearly, angels are things to imagine to Hero, not things to converse with. You both know the same angel?
When you say it like that, it sounds ridiculous.
That's
I mean, it kind of does sound that way.
But
She
I guess
actually looks vaguely surprised that that's apparently ridiculous, and she goes,
Can we all hear each other at this
Oh, yeah.
point? Yeah, okay.
But she is a godmother. If it was to be anyone, it would be her.
I mean, there's a-
Godmothers and angels? Connected?
oh, no, heavens no.
He looks
No
towards
pun
you, Femia.
intended.
Is it out of game? Is it a Manistress? What's her name? Isn't she a
Manistress.
fallen angel?
Yes.
Who's a-
She is,
yeah.
yes. She is an SMR.
So she would say, I mean, one of the kings of Garen is a fallen angel. It's not that shocking.
I mean, I was pretty shocked when I saw her, Hero says.
What was the angel that gave me
Zarafan?
Zarafan?
Excuse me.
I'm trying to. I'm blanking right now. Learnsfast was his grandpa.
No,
Or his dad.
he's Hero's father.
Your father. Your dad met an angel when he was a kid.
I remember. Zarafan.
Yeah, I'm sure she knows I do too.
He's an archangel, though. Not just an angel.
Good point.
She pauses and she goes,
I don't think he was there for my dad. He whispers
Yeah,
towards you.
Yeah, but he was there.
Cassian was Zarathan's assistant.
Wow, he must be important. Assistant to an archangel.
June actually does that and she quickly schools her face.
That
Funny
he
how we're all
was.
connected.
Did you say that he was?
I said that he was. And thrown down to the mortal plane just for losing an argument. It seems things are pretty harsh up there.
She raises an eyebrow at that particular description.
I'm guessing that's not the whole story. That's out of game.
It's not for me to tell, what Sarah and June says.
Okay.
But he made his way back up. Against the odds. I'm always impressed every time I think about it.
I've never quite understood exactly how they would ascend again.
How they would ascend again.
Ascend? How they would ascend. So if they're fallen and thrown down, what do they have to do to get their way
They're not
back?
necessarily thrown down. It's also a decision.
Well, in his case, he lost an intellectual debate, and it was dictated that he needed to spend time down here in order to both humble himself and to learn more. At least that's what he told me.
How did you meet him?
Well, like I said, he found me and thought to do justice and bring me down.
But he
How
didn't
did you
kill
convince him otherwise? Out of pure curiosity.
What'd you say?
Out of pure curiosity, how did you convince him otherwise?
This is the second time we've heard you've convinced a person to stand down when they were about to kill you.
When is the first time I brought this up?
I
Coward.
do believe it was yes.
Oh, yeah. I don't think...
Quite the silver tongue in there.
Mm-hmm.
I can say Cassian was significantly easier. I don't remember the exact details of how I talked him down. Do you remember?
You told me you were a cleric, mostly.
That? Okay.
You
Find
showed
what type
him
of cleric.
clerical abilities. That you still possessed them.
Yep. Well, that's what I tell you guys.
Honestly, it was his mistake, Prongor says.
I'm sure it was.
Man goes around wearing a robe from head to toe, looking very normal. Somebody attacks them for looking evil. Just because he has red eyes doesn't mean he's evil.
And
What
what
red
are you
eyes?
actually
How
doing
did I not
at that
know this?
time?
You have red eyes?
Do you?
Gray skin, red eyes, white hair.
How do I not know this? Okay, continue, sorry.
That's pretty evil looking, yeah. That's pretty, that's no
Or
lie.
actually, I think it was because he sensed that I was a creature of the undead at the time.
Which you're not, might I add.
No, but to an angel I may appear to be.
Like I said, his mistake. Prongor says. Does anyone continue?
Yeah. June actually turns to you and says, have you had interactions with angels?
None other than one of the kings of Garen. It might shock you, but angels don't tend to hang out with pirates all that often.
Well, boats are not terribly necessary to those with wings.
Oh, that sounds nice.
They're very fast.
I've met other dragons, but angels, no.
Really? Which dragons?
Salt. She's...
How many people in this group have met Salt?
I have not.
I haven't, have I?
I assume you have.
Yes.
What'd you think of her?
What time?
Oh.
I think it's safe to assume that Juniper has met everybody at this point.
Not everyone. Most of the major players in the world, yes.
I know the chances are slim, but I do hope to see him again one day. He was a dear friend. He taught me many things.
She nods.
Yuffie looks very surprised by that.
She wrote him a letter at some point. I can pass it along if you'd like.
Would I know that you can write...
No.
Oh, you would offer to pass it along. Okay. That was the key detail there.
Yeah.
Isaac was about to be like, what?
There's a mailbox for heaven?
He says, would you do that for me? Is that too much trouble?
Not at all.
I would quite like to take you up on that.
You just...
You see Prongor look kind of like,
You just take a message to heaven.
Well, I'm not going to heaven, but I have friends who do.
You do?
I just
Maybe
said
you do know everybody.
She laughs.
Jennifer, I have a question, and you don't have to answer it, but how old are you?
Oh, that is so rude.
Do you say that? Please tell me you say that.
Yes.
It
I
is.
said she didn't have to answer it.
You never ask a woman her age, man. Bad move. Bad move.
To be fair, you've met multiple world dragons multiple times.
She just
How do you know that?
Well, she's met Yen-Jassi and Salt, and she mentioned when I asked her what she thought of Salt, which time I was referring to. So I assume you've met her multiple times.
She's a very mercurial individual.
Yes, she is. Can you give us a ballpark?
I don't think our brains can handle the reality.
Wait,
of
why
how
would you
old
say
Jennifer
that?
is.
Do you know how old she is?
No.
Well, then
You're
why would you
guessing
say
old,
that?
aren't you?
June's actually looking over at Prongor when we're talking about this at the moment.
Mm.
She says,
Oh, God.
there are those among my race that live for 100,000 years.
Is there natural death?
Of course.
And it takes that long?
She actually looks really sad when you ask that question. It's not as long as you think. I suppose for people such as yourselves who run through life in a blink, it seems like it's forever, but it is not.
I don't think it's ever long enough.
No, it's not, is it?
Hero looks weighed down by his tiny lifespan. 30 years.
Although, to be fair, I think living that long and seeing that much around you die sounds pretty... She trails off.
I've seen enough war in my short life.
You see, June's eyes look like oceans when you say that. Like, she's seen all of that. You can tell that she is deeply affected by that statement.
She cuts herself off. Well, not something I have to worry about.
So, thank you.
You earned that.
She says, so, your interactions with Salt.
Ah, yes. I dived into the ocean deep,
How deep?
all the way down.
It's dark down there, isn't it?
Mm.
How did you survive?
Some interesting equipment that had been developed specifically for that purpose.
Are you being intentionally evasive?
Yes.
I see. She nods. She can accept that. If you're being intentional about hiding shit, she's fine with it. But, like, you know, if you're just being densely opaque.
Hero's going to whisper, like, kind of awed, pirate secrets.
Pirate secrets!
I will say, there are things down there you can't even imagine. Well, you can imagine.
I have a very, very vivid imagination.
Things shaped in ways you wouldn't think they could be shaped and glowing in the dark. Spectacular.
I do adore bioluminescence.
Well, you should take another look at my paintings then. They're all bioluminescent.
Really?
Mm.
I'd love to get a hand on your paints. See how those work.
Hmm.
Are you using... She lists off this very specific type of algae that's...
She would say yes, she is, and I would assume it's something that's only bought like in, like coastal areas. I assume there's like a really limited supply of that.
I used it. Unfortunately, it does degrade after a few thousand years.
I don't think I'll have that problem. she says.
Your conversations carry you much quicker to the Outrunner, where you pull up upon a singing hotjack.
Why wouldn't he?
You hear his songs come to you, a melodic melody from across the water. He appears
like
to be
siren.
beginning a little ditty of a song. And he holds his hands to his heart as he kind of like bobs up and down with the words. He goes, O Mib and the sage, O Mib and the wise, why do you hide in your tower? O Mib and the mage, O Mib and arise and show me some of your power. All come seeking and yet none find the secrets inside of your mind. Save for one, your favoured son, Melon, who's faithful and kind. In dreaming you see all that will be, and write it down into thundery. But when will you learn your lesson and turn to be like your son and help me? So here I sit on steps of stone, waiting for endless hour, waiting for you to come and share and show me some of your power.
I already have them. Sorry, continue.
I was gonna say you giving him inspiration for that song.
Hey, it
That's
was
what I thought was
due.
happening.
It was
It's
due.
like Podjack has inspiration now.
You know what? Take it for fun.
Straight up.
Yep.
You guys quickly head back to the Outrunner and pull up on the shore. You guys have traveled now for 3 days' time, roughly. Probably more like 2.5. And you find the ship well in need still of repairs. Has at least 3 days remaining. It was a 5-day repair job, and they have the wood carved down and are ready for installation. Triss has created an entire workstation on the shoreline and is sweating. Dom has big beams that he's like shoving along to dry out, and she is applying lacquer to all of them.
You said it's been 3 days?
It's been 2.5 days. So that reduces
3 points now?
for a full repair.
For a full repair.
For a full repair,
It's 3
so
points.
it's 2 days per, or 2 wish points down per.
Mm-hmm. But it's 2.5.
Yeah, so 3 wish points.
Would it still be 3 days remaining if I started helping with mending?
She would go up and ask Triss if having additional bodies
I was
here
gonna say.
to assist would speed up the process.
Triss will inform you that it, of course, having more bodies would help, but currently the crew is holding down all the positions she needs.
June is going to walk up to Triss and says, what exactly needs to be done, please?
Triss is going to quickly explain to you all the necessary
Speaking to the
attachments
manager.
that need to be
Mm-hmm.
put onto the ship, and sort of points out each one of the pieces that needs to be installed.
June is going to go like that, and then suddenly all the pieces are going to fly to the right spots, and she's going to spend the wish points.
So you guys watch as this big block of wood that's been carved carefully to fit the edge of the ship, needing installation, is going to and just fuse to the side of the ship. As June raises her hands, the ship wheel and all of its mechanical pieces are going to fly together and then slam into the top of the ship. And finally, all of the burnt wood is going to just sort of vanish into the air. And it is replaced instead by fully mended sunwood.
Isaac throws up his arms and says, "You'll let her do that, but not let me try and fix it." But whatever. And he walks off.
Triss is sort of going to stare dazedly at the ship.
Yeah. She smiles at her.
She gives Juniper a horrified look. And then...
June
You
sighs.
love freaking this girl out.
No, she's not. She's
You live
actually
to freak this girl out.
She genuinely is trying to make her happy, and clearly it's never working.
That is exactly correct. Yeah, she is...
June sighs and looks over at Yuffie and shrugs.
She sort of goes
It's
over...
done.
Captain, I need a drink, she says. I'm raiding the liquor, Captain.
June
Help yourself
taps
to the good
this
stuff.
and she pulls out a bottle of really, really nice Girin port. And she goes, Port?
What happened to keeping the trust of the crew, Juniper? We talked about this.
She looks at you like there is a hag offering her candy.
She gives it to you.
Yuffie takes it immediately. Thank you. Ooh.
I go,
You
here.
see
and
Dom kind of like,
I pull a box off the boat that we came in, and I say, the elves gave us this. And it's like some elven brandy that they sent with us.
to Triss?
She said she needs a drink.
I don't think
Thanks.
she's going to
She
trust it from
says,
you either.
I need something dwarven.
Understandable, I say, as I put it back where it was.
She'll say to Triss, you know where it is, and then she'll pull out the key to the good stuff and toss it her way.
You will find Potjack laying on his back
She's
in the
shrunk.
grass.
She's
He
very
is
happy
juggling
with it.
both of the
It was
birds
technically
up and
for you
down,
anyway.
catching both of them as they
Birds
whistle
with
in glee. With the ship fixed, Bali is going to come up towards you. She's going to lightly pat Juniper on the shoulder and say,
She can
"It's
reach
not
that
your
high?
fault. It's her problem."
Yes, I know. I wish there was a way I could alleviate her fear, but it seems that anything I do will simply exacerbate the situation.
Well, to be honest, I'm terrified of you, so I can't really say much about that.
She sighs, she shrugs, and she goes, well, you hide it quite well. She pats her on the shoulder.
Everybody is going to shuffle back onto the ship. Takes all of the...
Are you near me?
She's probably really happily looking at her port, but yeah.
You would hear her mutter, this is why I never mingle.
She would probably just snort.
Dom is going to look at Juniper and say, I do wish we hadn't set up everything before you did that. He says, looking at the big workshop of
I
wood.
was just thinking, that was my first thought, was how long did Triss spend making the workshop to then have you do that? Incredible.
To be fair,
3 more days!
we do need to move. Triss is going to have to get over it.
We need to talk about what our next move is after we meet Nervin. Clearly, what we learned there will affect what we plan to do, but
Are we in my, how far is Potjack from us?
I would never speak
He's
if
like
he's anywhere near me.
30 feet.
Oh, she would get farther away before she brought that up.
Like 30 feet?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, there are cleeping, chirping birds around him.
Okay, fine. She lowers her voice as she
Okay.
talks to you. I assume you guys are relatively near. She goes, I'm aware that we can't make solid plans yet, but it would be nice to have an idea of what our plans would be. I know we were intending to go to Bridgewalk, but I do not believe that would be wise at the moment.
Why not?
They're currently having...
Were you intending to go to Bridgewalk?
Yes, we were
I don't
originally.
remember you all ever mentioning anything about
We
Bridgewalk.
originally were planning on going downstream because that's where Potjack wanted to go.
Well, the end of the stream doesn't get to Bridgewalk. It gets to the We Remember Monument.
Yes, but I thought that the whole point was we were going in that general direction.
There was
first.
something in that. There was a shard in
There
that
were
general
shards in that
direction, wasn't
direction.
there?
Mm-hmm. It
The,
was
the shard in the direction of Bridgewalk
Really farther
was
down.
the one you got.
Okay.
No, I thought
No, there
Now
was-
there's one in the direction of the Sky Range,
but that's
which
still
is way farther south.
Well, it would still be better to go via the river and then go down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. If you're headed towards the Sky Range chip.
I mean,
Mhm.
probably we should have Hero use the compass and see where the next.
Yeah, but you don't know until we get closer whether it doesn't tell us how far it is, just tells us the
Just
direction.
direction.
Speaking of that, Hero says, since we're in a different location,
It would be wise to do again.
I was going to say, you and Yen-Jassi, you seem to be really good with math. I've heard that good cartographers can triangulate something from 2 points or 3 points.
Reconnoitering, yes.
Do you think maybe we could do that?
Yes.
He nods.
Yuffie looks very impressed.
Well. Alright.
She pulls out the compass.
As he
June
kind of
will
seems
pull
to
out.
hold his stomach for a second and then nods to accept it.
June will pull out her map.
You create a new line now towards the Sky Range piece. It is very clear from the 2 points. They intersect directly in the highest peaks of the Sky Range.
Cool.
I wonder if this is near Nivium. She mutters.
The points do not cross near Nivium.
Okay. Good. Just checking.
Basically, one goes like this from the Crystal Forest, and the other one kind of goes like this. And they meet right over some of the most atmospheric mountain peaks.
So, are we going to climb mountains now?
You would have to fly. I mean, the scaling of the Sky Range, like, you're looking at, like, double Everest.
Whoa.
They're called the Sky Range because they go above, like, the sky.
Can we breathe up
So, Mythia doesn't follow those rules?
there? Hey!
Hey.
I was
It
gonna
gets
say,
colder as you get up
That'd be
higher,
a
but it doesn't
60
increase in pressure.
60,000 foot mountain.
It's very cold, but it's doable. It's better to be able to fly.
It would be very cold, like snow cap.
Yeah, June doesn't seem like that.
Yeah, that
Yeah, June's just like, yeah, I mean, it's very cold, but... Oh, she looks at you guys and goes, well, I'm not sure how well you all would do.
Yeah, do you even feel temperature?
Yes, of course I do. To a degree.
Cold.
Hey, Isaac. I need some healing, Potjack says.
This Potjack?
He holds out his hand, and you see one of his fingers is ripped off.
Oh my god.
Goodness gracious. Is that Walksnoroads that did that to you?
How'd you know?
Just a hunch. He's been swinging
Holds his
around
finger back to the stump.
He's been swinging around a dagger for a couple days now.
No, I was the running.
The running.
He zipped right through my hand.
Oh. Is he okay?
Said it didn't seem to hurt him none.
Uh,
Just wiggled around all dizzy.
as Isaac is asking these questions, he's going to
Yeah.
cast a spell to start mending his finger back
June's
together.
gonna go look at walks during this, because now I'm concerned.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
Okay. As you walk up towards... Hey, Mama, he says, and he's kind of dawdles towards you. You notice that he has more agility.
It's clear June's heart kind of melts just a little bit. She thinks he's adorable.
He goes, Big Hunt,
What did you get?
you come see. He's going to waddle over towards a tree, and in the hole of the tree, you see a dead mouse, a bunch of, like, cicada-sized insects. There's, like, a little bird, and there's a bunch of eggs.
You are a very prolific hunter. Oh,
Cleavy.
hell. Thank
As
you.
soon as Cleeby comes over towards you,
She
Walks
asked
is
if
going to,
Cleavy
like,
did.
dance and go, Kenku! Cleeby's going to go, Kenku! No wiggling! Podjack says. The two of them stop and, like, freeze mid-wiggle, and then, like, Walks sort of, like, falls on his leg and then rights himself.
June is going to do she's going to say, may I look you over now, Walks? She offers her hands.
He leaps into your hands.
She's going to check him over and make sure he's okay and that the darkness and whatnot hasn't done anything. No.
Unseen by you, Cleeby's going to look at the proceedings and then run over towards Euphemia and hold up his hands.
She'll pick him up immediately.
Right. He says, "We're going to look over you, Clebe."
Are you injured, Clevie?
He says, "Maybe," in Podjack's voice.
And then she looks alarmed. Are you hurt? She asks again.
And he says, "Tickle."
She reaches her hand down to sort of like just tickle his side a little bit. Are you saying here?
So, as you do, he laughs with cat meows. So, meow, 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 meow.
I love it so much.
And he sort of like balls over and holds his stomach. He says, "Oh, that's how you do it," Podjack says. "Where's my finger? It's too big," Podjack says, looking at Clebe.
I can't believe you have Podjack's voice now on. Oh. I didn't think this through.
You wanted this. You asked for this.
She did.
June can't quite resist hugging him and kind of giving a little scratch. He's just so darn cute.
Walks is going to say, "Mama, come look. Made drawing."
She follows.
You head up onto the ship and down into the hold,
Uh-oh.
where he shows you the wall with Shadow's drawings on it has been expanded into a Clebe and Walks frolicking mural.
June's eyes widen slightly and she's like, "Oh God.
Ooh.
Oh dear."
You smell sweet berry juice that was used to make the drawings.
Let's show Auntie Euphemia.
Mama, I had a question. Why we no look same?
Well, because you are a Kenku.
He says, "So then Clebe my brother?"
Clebe is a distant cousin. So you may call him your brother or your cousin if you like.
So I have two mama and one dada? Because Clebe's mama is Euphemia.
Yes.
He says, "And Uncle Podjack?"
Oh God.
Uncle Podjack.
She goes, Did he ask you to call him that?
Uh-huh. And Knife Elfian family?
Yes.
So.
He's also an uncle.
He says,
Don't volunteer me for that.
Too bad. I want him to listen to us, so if he feels like some sort of there's a familial relationship, he'll actually answer.
"And Grandpa Dom?"
Sure.
You not. I get beard?
No, you won't get a beard.
Okay. That's fine.
She just nods. She's not quite sure how this is going to play out later.
He says, "And Plongor, he daddy's son? So he my brother?"
June genuinely doesn't look like she knows what to say right here. She goes, Plongor's not Isaac's son. No.
And Johnny says she crazy aunt.
Yes, she can be a crazy aunt.
That's definitely on par.
He nods.
She's going to say, "Your drawings are quite lovely."
He says, "Cleve says I don't have fingers."
You don't.
I do. They're just very tiny. He's going to hold his wing to the side, and you see, like, very tiny little bones hooked into his wings that can kind of come out about that much.
She goes, "Yes, I would consider those to be vestigial wings."
I'm a vestigial.
No, you're a Kenku.
Kenku! He says.
She's going to pick him up and go upstairs. Euphemia?
Yes. She looks up from tickling Cleby.
It would seem
Meow, meow, meow.
our feathery friends here decided to expand on Shadow's mural.
Oh. How much expansion?
Well, how much is it really? It's like the whole
As
wall.
you go down, you turn a 360-degree arc around the basement of the stair hold. There is about 24 pictures of two vaguely bird-shaped entities. Mostly they look like fuzzy balls that are running around in fields. One of them has what looks like a big round potjack with a beehive falling on his head.
Nailed it.
She goes, well, it looks like they took over the entry into the hole. It's berry juice, if it makes you feel better.
Oh.
You're going to see Shadow enters into the hold. Sort of, her head is going to come up from the floor, and she looks around. Grrr.
June will pick up Walks and go, Walks, have you met Shadow yet?
Goes, scary dragon.
She's not scary. She's very, very nice.
She did create those drawings right there. Clearly, she's a skilled artist.
Oh, Walks tries to walk towards
She
them.
allows her to. I'm attempting, okay, see the goal
Get
is to
Cleby
get,
to warm up
to get
yeah.
Walks to like Shadow
And
so that
Cleby will
Cleby
follow.
will follow.
Mm-hmm.
Walks over to the mural and looks up at it.
June kind of winks at you.
You great painter, he says, turning around towards Shadow. Grrr. Ba. Walk says. Grrr. Ba. Shadow sort of looks over towards you and then nods. Okay. Walks wants to leave.
June's eye, did it sound like he was just making weird sounds, or did it look
It
like...
sounded like he was trying to respond, but doesn't have any capability to do so. So he just said something that sounded like what Shadow was saying.
Gotcha.
What does Cleby look like during this?
Cleby's outside. He stayed outside the boat.
Oh, okay.
He is waiting for Walks to return.
Walks, why don't you go back and play with Cleby, but please stay on the boat.
Cleby says we got to work.
Okay, well,
Cleby's
then
right.
work with Cleby. But again, stay on the boat and listen to what Cleby says. And don't steal anything.
Okay. He says, but he clearly has no intention of doing that.
She leans over a little bit. Cleby will definitely tell him to steal things.
I'm aware.
He says, we not steal it, but we take Roland's sword. He says, and then he runs up the stairs.
What?
He didn't steal my sword.
Or do they?
Sure, I haven't right now.
You think he was telling their future plans?
Yeah, what they're planning on doing, because I told him no.
June just sighs and she goes, by the way, you're either his second mother or his aunt now. I can't decide which. So hopefully he'll listen to you when you tell him to do things.
That would be helpful.
Apparently, Potjack wants to be referred to as Uncle Potjack.
You know, I'm actually not surprised by that.
I'm actually kind of okay with it, which surprises me.
Oh, but Cleby is using Potjack's voice now.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Hopefully he does. Oh dear. He's heard all the songs.
Ugh.
June has a vaguely horrified look on her face.
The idea of the songs all the time.
All right. We'll go ahead and end the session there for the time being, Noble Heroes. We appreciate you coming along with us. Please give us a like and subscribe if you enjoyed our content. And do try this at home.